Alright everybody, we're back in Funboxing with Will. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm actually going to do a review on a product that I've owned for about 3 months now that I really have enjoyed using. It's called the Moza Mini-Me 3-axis gimbal, and I've used it for my smartphone to do some filming with recently, and for over the last couple months I've gotten some real hands-on with it, so I figured I'd go ahead and let you guys know about it, seeing as it's one of my pieces of gear that I love. It's one of my favorite pieces of gear, actually. I use it for the cell phone. I've used it in a promotional video for a band out in Mesa. You can use it for, depending on the quality of your camera. I personally have the Galaxy Samsung S10 Plus. It's got an amazing 4K camera on it. So I use it a lot for filming, more than you'd think. Right now I'm doing this vlog on a Canon EOS Rebel T7i. If you guys follow any of my other videos, you guys would know that. And I love the camera. It's fairly new. But yeah, at the end of the day, my my S10 really does work in a snap, and this is a way to get amazingly good smooth footage from a smartphone. So I have a glide cam for the DSLR, and believe it or not, I'll find myself using the Moza Mini with my smartphone. You could use it even in a short film. I plan on using it in a coming up short film, The Hunt, that I'm about to make. So yeah, it's one of those like gotta have tools. It's my first Moza product, but I've heard really good things about the company after I purchased it. I've been looking up reviews and stuff and heard some really good things. So I'm just gonna pretty much take you through it. And first thing I want to tell you about is there is a locking mechanism on the arms when it comes out of the case. It comes with a nice hard case that I showed you there in the opening. Nice little shell, keep it protected. And it also comes with a tripod, which a lot of these gimbals apparently don't come with in the box. They're separately sold, so it costs you extra money. This one came with it, and at the price point of $100, it's not that bad of a buy, especially when you look at the other gimbals out there in the market. Another feature about this that I really do enjoy is this has a Qi wireless charging pad in the head. So when you're filming on your smartphone, if your smartphone is about to die and you need a little bit of extra juice just to get that extra scene that you wanted to get, or that extra shot in, this will help you do that, because with a couple of clicks of the power button, you're entering wireless charging mode and you can actually charge your cell phone while you're filming, extending that life. And considering the fact that it takes about 3 hours to charge this Moza Mini-Me and you get about 10 hours of battery life out of it, this is what they claim. I've noticed about 8 to 8.5 hours of constant use out of it without the charger being used. Now I don't know what that cuts it down to while you're using the wireless charger, but you still have got a good couple hours at least once you've had it wirelessly charged. I'd go with maybe 5, you know, as if I'm guessing. So it's really good as far as that's concerned. Now, the one thing they didn't tell you was when it comes out of the box, it has 2 separate locking mechanisms on the arms to keep them in travel when you're packing it up and you're putting it in the case, to keep it from just flailing around. One, you slide forward on the gimbal, and then the other one is something that you turn this way. And these two, they just click in, and it's not too hard, but believe it or not, the lock is hard enough that the first time I turned it on, I didn't know anything about gimbals. I threw my smartphone in there, I turned it on, and it started vibrating and clicking and making this loud noise, and I was like, oh no. So I turned it off real quick and I looked it up, and I couldn't find anything about it. And then I looked at the packaging and was looking it over really closely and realized there's locking mechanisms here. Just by turning it, it unlocks it. So that's very bad for the brush motors in these gimbals, and you don't ever want to do that. So right out the gate, that's something that maybe I am helping you out with here that I didn't know about. It'll extend the life of your gimbal tremendously, and that's also why they have you calibrate the gimbal and do a balance before you turn it on. And also never turn it on without having a smartphone in the gimbal. Apparently it will get that jittery motor motion as well, and it's not good. So real quick, I'm going to show you how to calibrate it. I don't use my phone case. Depending on the phone case you have, it might work with the phone case. Mine's a little bit too bulky for me to feel comfortable with it, so I just take mine out of the phone case completely when I install the phone into the gimbal. But you just take, it's super simple. This just slides. It's just a slide mount. So I just take it, slide my cell phone right in there, and then I push it down to the base, and then there you go. And then there is a spin dial right here on the arm. You take it, you unscrew it, and you balance it. This is how you calibrate the gimbal. And you just want the phone to lay horizontal as much as you can get manually without teetering one way or the other, and that's when you tighten this little screw down. And it helps the motors not have to work so hard to get the phone balance position into the placement, so that when it's working, it's not overexerting your motors. So you do the same, and this panel right here, where the phone mounts, actually, the whole panel slides to the left or right or up and down depending on the orientation that you have it at. But you just want it to where when you leave the phone a certain way, that's the way that the phone stays. And then to turn it on, there's a power button here on the side. You hold the power button down for approximately 2 seconds, and then 4 blue lights will turn on and it will adjust itself. So there it is. Now, when you turn it on in default mode, your panning up and down is locked. So the only pan that you have is left and right. When you go up and down, it just stays locked position. To get that off, pretty much for all of your pan controls, there is a circular dial here with a center button, a joystick above it. The circular dial right here has a left toggle button. That left toggle button, say I want to pan up and down. It's a triple click. Now this other blue light is turned on, I can pan the camera up, I can pan the camera down, and it'll slowly pan. I can also pan left, I can pan right, and it does the same thing. Now, if I want to lock out the left and right pan, I use the same button and just double click instead of triple. And that turns off the pan left and pan right. So now it's locked in place. And if I want to stop it from panning and just keep it in a dead center lock, I double click and triple click the left button, turning off all the lights. And as you see, no matter which direction I move my hand, the phone's staying in the same direction. It's very useful. If you want to switch to a portrait mode with a simple 60-degree turn of your hand, the whole gimbal switches up into portrait mode and switches right back. So that's the basic controls. You can obviously control it with the joystick. So in any of the locked modes, unlocked modes, whether you're panning up, down, left, right, or all of the above, you can use the joystick and pretty much control any variation of movement that you'd like with it. Unfortunately, I haven't found any speed controls for the motors, except for in inception mode, which is a feature that I was going to talk about later, but I'll get into it now. If you triple click the top button on the dial, it enters inception mode, which is where the phone turns vertically flat so that you hold it out in front of you and it's straight out. Then, depending on the turn left or right with the joystick, it will continuously spin in that direction, and it's what they call inception mode. And it's a really neat feature. It's cool for special effects if you're going to do a dream sequence in a short film, or if you want to do a really cool zoom in pan with a music video shot or of a guitar or anything like that. Most famous one, I think, is the Jennifer Love Hewitt one at the end of I Know What You Did Last Summer. That was pretty much an inception shot where it's just the camera spinning above her while she's screaming at nobody. Cliche horror movies, gotta love them. And then, so then to reset it back, it's a double click of the bottom, and then it goes back to that mode. And then once you're in this mode, it also has a vlogging mode. So I don't use this to vlog on anymore. I use my EOS just because I have a detachable screen monitor from the EOS, so I can see myself and see whether or not I'm in focus on the EOS. Whether I am all the time or not is a different question, but I can see that. You can't do that with a smartphone when you enter vlog mode just because there's no screen on the back of your cell phone. So you can obviously use your front-facing camera. Usually that's less quality of footage though, of picture quality, resolution, and people opt not to do that when they're vlogging. They'd rather use the back of the cell phone. But if you want to choose to use the forward-facing camera, you definitely can. You just set it out, turn on your camera, you can record yourself with it all you want. The Moza app that comes along with the gimbal is very useful. It has a face tracking app that it's glitchy. It doesn't work 100% of the time, but when it does work, it's right on point. It's really awesome. And so you can use that while you're doing your vlog, get up, move around, and it should in theory follow you around. Doesn't work 100% of the time. From my own personal experience, not particularly. But yeah, anyway, here's that mode. You just double click the bottom button again and you triple click the bottom button and it'll turn the entire, you could essentially see everything in the screen. If you had like a mirror or something, it'd be a good setup to have. So that's the vlog setup, and then to reset it, you just double click instead of triple clicking. And it turns it back around to a full 360 view. In short, it's an amazing gimbal. I love it. The one issue I did find with it when I purchased it is I went out and I bought a shotgun mic almost immediately, just to get better audio quality. And upon purchasing the shotgun mic, I realized that plugging anything into your audio jack on the Galaxy Note line series, I don't know if this is the same. I know that different phones have different placements of their headphone jacks. A lot of phones, I think the iPhones have it on the top of the phone. So with an iPhone, wouldn't be an issue at all. But as far as the Galaxy phone is concerned in itself, you can't plug a jack into the phone while it's in the gimbal. So it kind of makes external audio an issue if that's what you're going for. So what I had to do was I went out and I think I paid $12 for it. It's a universal counterweight system for gimbals. And I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I can get that in view instead of my face. There you go. It's just a universal counterweight system, and it clamps on to the arm right here on the gimbal, and you can take the weight depending on how far out you're going to move your phone to be able to attach the headphone jack. You take the weight and you take some off. They all come off individually, so you take some off, put some on, and it's just a counterbalance that'll keep the motors working better. So the review is, it's a great product. I love it. I use it almost every time I film. It's always something that I have in my bag. And until I can afford to go get the Moza Air 2 for my DSLR, it's going to be my go-to for pans and motion shots, period. I'm really wanting to get that Moza Air 2 though. Right now I'm using a glide cam, which I don't know if any of you out there have used one before, but it definitely takes some practice. It's essentially a gimbal that has no motors in it. It's a gravity-fed gimbal, and it's just based off science. And it stabilizes your camera, but your camera also has this weird boat rocking effect that I've noticed that I get a lot of times. So I need to fix that or get better at it. So I'm gonna cut the video short now, seeing as this has been a pretty long review here. But yeah, I would definitely recommend getting the Moza Mini cell phone gimbal if you're looking for any type of smooth footage for any projects you're working on. It's a great thing. So if you liked the video, if you found it helpful, click subscribe down below, like, and leave a comment. I'll totally reply. I'm new to this whole YouTube vlog thing, so give me some replies so that I know it's worth doing. And I'm having fun either way, so we'll see where it goes. You guys have a good night.